There comes a moment in the year when the universe stops speaking loudly and instead begins to whisper. And right now, during the final stretch of November, those whispers are growing stronger. If you're someone who feels energy before it arrives, who senses shifts before they're visible, then you've probably already noticed it. This heaviness, this thickness in the air, this strange pull inward that almost feels like the world is asking you to step back, turn down the noise, and simply listen. These final days of November are not normal days. They mark the peak of an energy shift that has been building layer by layer throughout the month. And now it's beginning to settle. Something is rearranging in the background, around you and within you. And as much as your logical mind tries to brush it aside or keep pushing through your normal routines, your spirit knows better. It knows that the only way to receive what is coming is through stillness, through quiet, through temporary isolation. You may feel tired for no reason. You may feel uninterested in conversations that usually attract you. Your sleep may be strange, intense dreams, sudden wake-ups, or long, heavy rests. Your emotions may fluctuate without any clear trigger. This is not a coincidence. This is not random. These are signs that your energy field is recalibrating and that something you've been waiting for, consciously or unconsciously, is finally aligning beneath the surface. And the universe does not want you distracted while it happens. The urge to isolate these days is not a sign of withdrawal or avoidance. It's a sign of spiritual tuning. When the energy peaks like this, your body becomes more sensitive, your intuition becomes louder, your connection to the unseen becomes sharper. If you ignore this, if you force yourself into crowds, conversations, noise, chaos, you might miss what is being sent your way. Because the messages arriving right now, they require full attention, they require silence, they require a pause. There is a doorway opening, but it doesn't open with chaos. It opens with quiet. And that is why, right now, isolation isn't something to fear. It is something to embrace. It is the universe saying, step back. Something is coming, and you need space for it to land. As these days unfold, you might notice people around you behaving differently, almost as if their moods are shifting without explanation. Some will be more irritable, some will be more emotional, some will feel strangely nostalgic or reflective. When collective energy rises like this, it doesn't only affect the spiritually sensitive, it affects everyone. But not everyone understands it. That's why you may notice misunderstandings happening more easily, conversations becoming more intense, and energies clashing without any real cause. This is exactly why isolation becomes important. Not because you are running away, but because your energy is too valuable, too sensitive, too receptive right now to be entangled with noise that isn't yours. These final days of November are preparing you for something that requires a clean, energetic slate, a moment of clarity, a shift in identity, a release of something you've been unconsciously carrying for too long. And if you stay in the noise, the distraction, the emotional storms of others, that shift may get blurred, diluted, or delayed. That's why the pull feels so strong. For many people, it shows up in the form of feeling off, disconnected, detached, or uninterested in socializing. For others, it feels like a deep desire to rest and reset. And for a select few, the ones who are truly in tune with the unseen, it feels like standing at the edge of an invisible transformation, like something is about to click, something is about to reveal itself. This is the universe reorganizing your path, realigning your steps, removing people who no longer match your vibration, closing cycles that have quietly been draining your energy. and preparing you for a reality that requires the stronger version of you, the clearer, more intuitive, more awakened version. But transitions like this rarely happen in noise. They happen when you step back. They happen when you disconnect. They happen when you breathe. That is why isolation right now is not a punishment. It is a preparation. The universe is not taking things away from you. It is clearing the stage. It is creating room for what you've been manifesting, even if you've forgotten about it, even if you've doubted it, even if you've lost faith in the timing. The timing was always going to be here, in the quiet at the end of November. These final days carry something deeper, a spiritual culmination point. Everything you've learned this year, every emotion you've navigated, every challenge that pushed you, every ending that hurt more than you expected, all of it is melting into a single moment of realization. And before that realization arrives, the universe needs you to sit with yourself. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you. To hear yourself, to clear the noise you didn't even know you were carrying. You may notice hints of what's coming, a sudden intuitive knowing, a calmness you can't explain, a feeling that something new is forming behind the scenes. Some people will describe it as a reset, others as an activation, and some will simply feel it as a moment of deep emotional clarity. Whatever form it takes for you, the message is the same. Prepare. Not by taking action, but by stepping back. Not by pushing harder, but by allowing space. Not by searching, but by receiving. These days are like the quiet before dawn. Everything feels still. But in that stillness, life is beginning to rearrange itself. You are shedding timelines that no longer belong to you. You are releasing identities you've outgrown. You are closing emotional loops that have been draining your strength. And as this happens, you need to be alone. Not lonely. Alone. There is a difference. Loneliness is the absence of others. Aloneness is the presence of yourself. And right now, the universe needs you present, fully, completely, without interference. When the shift finally clicks, you will feel lighter, you will feel clearer, you will feel aligned. The confusion you've been carrying will soften. The fears you've been suppressing will lose their grip, and the path ahead will feel more visible than it has in months. But for that clarity to land, for that insight to settle, for that shift to anchor, you must honor the isolation your spirit is asking for. These final days of November are not meant to scare you. They are meant to prepare you. You are not losing energy. You are gathering it. You are not disconnecting. You are realigning. You are not falling behind. You are being pulled into the timing that was meant for you all along. And when this transition completes, when the energy settles, when December begins, you will understand why you needed this. You will understand why your spirit asked you to step back. You will understand why isolation was the key. Because what waits for you on the other side of this shift is not small. It is not ordinary. It is not accidental. It is the moment your path changes shape. And when it arrives, you will be ready. There's a reason you're feeling a shift inside you right now, even if you can't name it. These last days of November are stirring a part of your spirit that has been quiet for months, maybe even years. And when that part wakes up, it brings with it memories, realizations, emotions, and intuitions that you may not have been ready to face before. This is why isolation becomes important, not to avoid the world, but to meet the parts of yourself that you've unknowingly abandoned, suppressed, or overlooked. The universe is not asking you to isolate because something bad is coming. It's asking you to isolate because something within you is trying to come alive. These days can feel like a spiritual mirror, showing you what you need to let go of, what you need to heal, what you need to acknowledge, and what you need to finally accept. And these truths don't reveal themselves when you're surrounded by noise. They reveal themselves when everything around you becomes still enough for your inner voice to rise. You might feel like you're shedding your old identity. You might find yourself questioning the things that used to matter to you. You might feel a shift in your priorities, a sudden clarity around who belongs in your life and who doesn't, what aligns with you and what drains you. This isn't confusion. This is clarity emerging from chaos. This is spiritual intelligence waking up. This is your intuition speaking without interruption for the first time in a long time. And as all of this unfolds, you may also notice that your emotional body is being cleansed. You may cry unexpectedly, or feel bursts of gratitude, or feel an unexplained sadness rising from somewhere deep within. But this is not emotional instability. It is emotional release. You are clearing space for a new chapter. You are emptying out what cannot follow you into the next phase. The universe always rearranges your inner world before it rearranges your outer world. Before life changes physically, it changes energetically. And that is exactly what is happening right now. This is a pruning season, cutting away what no longer serves you so the next season of your life can flourish without the weight of old branches holding you back. By isolating now, you're not withdrawing from life. You're creating space for your real life to begin. As this energy shift reaches its peak, something powerful begins to happen. A reawakening. A subtle but unmistakable spark inside you starts to glow. You may feel ideas returning. Dreams that once felt distant suddenly feel possible again. You may feel like you're waking up from a long mental fog, like someone wiped the dust from your spirit and handed it back to you renewed. This is the rebirth energy that always comes after an intense spiritual realignment. Your spirit is remembering your strength. Your intuition is remembering its voice. Your destiny is remembering the path it planned long before you arrived here. And this remembrance doesn't happen in a room full of distractions. It happens in solitude, in silence, in the sacred space you create when you choose yourself over noise. Soon, and it may be sooner than you think, you will look back at these days and realize they were a turning point. You will notice how your inner world shifted quietly but powerfully. You will feel how something inside you awakened, aligned, settled, and strengthened. And you will recognize that the universe wasn't asking you to isolate because you were weak. It was asking you to isolate because you were about to become stronger than you've ever been. When the energy completes its cycle and you step into December, you will step into it with a new frequency. Conversations will feel different. Decisions will feel clearer. Opportunities will feel more aligned. And what once felt heavy will no longer have the power to weigh you down. You'll notice that people who drained your energy begin to fall away naturally. You'll feel calmer, more connected, more aware. You'll feel like you returned to yourself. Because isolation wasn't the punishment. It was the preparation. It was the reset. It was the sacred pause your spirit needed. And now, a new phase is beginning. As you move forward, trust the timing, trust the clarity, trust the shift. What's coming next is aligned with your highest path. And now, after these days of inner transformation, you are finally ready to receive it fully. As we move deeper into this energetic window, the universe begins revealing what these final days of November were truly meant for. You may start to feel a strange clarity rising, almost like the fog that's been clouding your decisions, thoughts, or intuition is finally lifting. It's subtle, delicate, almost quiet. But once it begins, you can feel the difference instantly. Your spirit starts recognizing truths your mind had been too distracted to notice. You begin to see what was holding you back, what you've outgrown, and what no longer resonates with the person you're becoming. For some, this clarity comes through silence. For others, it comes through dreams, vivid, symbolic, emotionally charged dreams that feel more real than waking life. For a few, it arrives as sudden intuition, as if something inside them clicks into place. This isn't random. This is the universe finalizing the rearrangement of your energy. This is your higher self stepping forward with messages you've needed for a long time but weren't ready to hear until now. These days may remind you of who you were before the world layered expectations, judgments, fears, and doubts onto you. They may pull you back to your inner wisdom, the part of you untouched by external noise. And that's why this isolation phase is sacred, because when you disconnect from the world, you reconnect with yourself. And that connection is what begins guiding you through the next chapter of your life. You may even notice a strange sense of peace taking over, not because everything around you is perfect, but because something within you is stabilizing. You're no longer fighting the current. You're no longer forcing outcomes. You're no longer carrying burdens that were never yours to hold. You're learning to trust the timing, trust the whispers, trust the subtle nudges that have always been guiding you quietly through every storm. This is your spirit stepping into balance. This is your energy aligning with your future. This is your inner world preparing you for a transformation that your outer world has not yet seen, but soon will. As the shift completes and the final layer of this November energy settles into your spirit, something powerful begins to rise, a new version of you. This version carries a strength that you didn't have before, a clarity that you've been waiting for, a calmness that can't be shaken, a sense of direction that feels natural instead of forced. You start realizing that your spirit wasn't asking you to isolate because you were breaking, but because you were upgrading. When a rebirth is happening inside you, the external world can feel too loud, too chaotic, too distracting for your spirit to do its work. That's why solitude was necessary. You were being rewired, realigned, recalibrated. And now, as the energy shift reaches its final stages, you may notice yourself feeling lighter, more grounded, more aware of your path. This is the moment where people typically say, "I don't know what changed, but something feels different." That difference is you. You changed, your spirit stretched, your intuition sharpened, your vibration rose, and now the world around you will begin to reflect that change back to you. December will greet you with opportunities that feel aligned. People who match your energy, choices that feel clearer, insights that feel divinely timed. You are stepping into a new frequency, and with that, your reality will begin to shift accordingly. Everything that felt blocked may begin to open. Everything that felt stagnant may begin to move. Everything that felt confusing may begin to make sense. Because isolation wasn't about pulling away from life. It was about pulling toward your true path. These last days of November were a spiritual threshold, a crossing. And now that you've crossed, you will never return to who you were before. You're stepping into the version of yourself that you were always meant to become. And when the universe begins revealing why it needed you to pause, you will understand that this moment, this shift, this silence, was not an interruption. It was the beginning.